I don't believe that we can recycle our way out of the plastic problem. It's in our atmosphere, it's in our water, it's in land where we're growing our vegetables. It's absolutely everywhere. The world needs to open their eyes up more to what these chemicals are doing in our everyday products that we're not even thinking about. Hi, I'm Glenn Dawson. I'm from The Only Straw, entrepreneur that's trying to make a difference in the world with a straw that actually really breaks down. It's been a long journey to get here. I've been in the hospitality industry for over 20 years, and I look forward to making a difference. So I grew up around Glen Waverley. I had a fairly difficult childhood. I dropped out of school at 15, started working in factories and things, and trying to change my life from there, basically. Then I got a trade as a roof tiler, and did that for 14 years, and then went into my own business doing roofing. Melbourne was a fairly small city compared to what it is these days, and times certainly have changed. You had a telephone in the house. That was the only spot you had a telephone. You didn't have laptops. You didn't have anything like that. The most techie thing I remember when I was a kid growing up was the Discman coming out, and a mate of mine got one, and I was like, wow, that is really the future. I was actually in India. I was sort of still in my backpacking stage back then, and I went with a couple of mates. We went to Delhi and then sort of worked our way down through the middle of India, down to Goa, and it was quite an eye-opening experience, as you can imagine, for an Australian seeing how India operated in those days. And it was just a lifestyle. I saw a lifestyle there. I saw some actual foreigners running businesses there and thinking, okay, these guys have got a great life here. And it sort of made me think of what I could do. I was sitting on the beach in Goa and looking at some cafes and things on the beach in Goa, and text my wife, who was in London at the time visiting kids, and said, let's just pack up and go and live on a beach somewhere. So we finally found Lombok, Indonesia, and we found a little business that we could take over, a little rundown business. It was a bar business on a beach, and we said, okay, we'll go there for a couple of years and just live on a beach and relax and enjoy life. Completely lifestyle decision. And we built 5 bungalows and put a swimming pool in the extra land that was around the bar, and started off a business which was really successful, and that was in Sangigi, Lombok. And then we started travelling out to the Gillies, which is 3 little islands off Lombok, in between Lombok and Bali, and we found some land out there which we just decided to put another 8 rooms on. So I did all the design, I did all the building. The one in Gilly was fully eco. We had eco septic tanks, we had solar hot water, we had fresh water, and we made a great success out of it. We built all our hotel basically out of coconut trees. The roofs were, of course, grass roofs. And it was all fairly sustainable. Lombok itself was a pretty big coconut plantation. We built it all out of sustainable timbers and grass roofing and everything, of course. The other thing we did in our restaurant was we got rid of plastic knives and forks. We got rid of plastic bags for takeaway food or anything. And we got rid of the plastic straws. We tried reusable straws, but they didn't really work in a hygiene sense. You had to really make sure that they were clean for the next customer, and it was really quite difficult. We had a compendium in the rooms, and we actually told them what we've done with the septic system. The septic system actually watered the gardens. Most of the hotels on the island had no gardens because it was a very barren island. We actually imported all the gardens from Lombok. We actually shipped the whole lot over, including the soil for the gardens. It was a fantastic system that people actually appreciated to have, all these palm trees and flowers and everything around them, whereas when you stayed in other hotels, it was just bare sand, basically. I think the whole eco side of it comes from a want and a need for us to look after the planet a bit more. It's, the planet is suffering, and it has been suffering for a long time. And just to make my little patch of world a little bit better feels better to me. It makes you feel better as a human that you're actually putting something into it. It's just a good feeling to actually do something that's different and better. PFAS in packaging is a big one for me, and also recycling of plastics. I don't believe that we can recycle our way out of the plastic problem. I can't see that happening. We're making more plastic than what we're recycling. We're only recycling like 10% of plastic. The other 90% goes into landfill and is buried and lasts for hundreds of years. The biggest thing for me that through all my study of eco tableware, for instance, or coffee cups, straws, is that PFAS is it's a substance that 3M has released onto the world back in the 50s, 3M and Dow Chemicals, and they have actually created something that we've all got in. It's everywhere now. It's in our atmosphere, it's in our water, it's in land where we're growing our vegetables. It's absolutely everywhere, and nobody's really heard of it. And it's quite disturbing what it can do. It can create cancers, it can create problems with children. I think the world needs to open their eyes up more to what these chemicals are doing in our everyday products that we're not even thinking about. And we're just assuming that the government's regulating all this, but they're not. It's just come out the other day that we've actually got 140 times the legal limit of PFAS in our water systems in Australia than what America has legalised. So, we got out of the hotel business and came back to Australia to spend more time here. Beforehand, we probably spent about half the time between Australia and Indonesia. We actually came back and I thought, okay, I've got to do something. I can't just retire. I'm a little bit too young to retire. So I thought, with all the problems in the world, with plastic waste and everything like that, it was fairly big on my agenda to find some sort of solution. And I decided to tackle the straws because I'd found these rice pasta straws, which were gluten-free and everything, and were completely friendly to anybody to use. So I decided to do that. I got into a startup group called Startup Gippsland, and went right through to the grand final with my product, which I was pretty chuffed with, and have just continued to grow the business. So that was 2020. I did the Startup Gippsland program, and then so for 4 years now I've been slowly growing and slowly getting the only straw out there. So the straw is made roughly 70% rice flour, and the rice flour grains that are that are turned from rice into rice flour are actually waste grains. They can't be used in a rice dish. So they're all pushed to the side and they're crushed into a flour. The other 30% is tapioca starches. The tapioca starches gives it its rigidness and makes it strong enough to actually last in liquid. They are completely gluten-free. They last over an hour in a drink. They are really good for the environment. Marine animals can eat them. My dog eats them. You can eat them. They're entirely edible. And they're just a great idea compared to a paper straw, which doesn't really add up that we're using paper straws in this day and age. Not very well. My family thought I was nuts, and still do, I think. But a lot of people have reacted in different ways. A lot of business people have supported me, though. I've had some fantastic support from the business community. It's difficult to bring something completely different into a market that's fairly closed and not open to new things. It's difficult to be a startup in this sort of space, in the hospitality industry in particular. Cost is the biggest thing, which makes it really, really difficult for us. Yeah. What I say to our customers is, how do your end customers feel about your paper straws? And do they understand the actual product building of a paper straw? We're cutting down trees, we're pulping paper, we're binding it with glues and toxic substances. We're doing all sorts of things just to make a paper straw that can last 10 minutes. It's a fairly cheap and nasty way to do it, and of course the end customer is never happy. Nobody likes paper straws. That's a general consensus. Even business people don't like paper straws, but they like the price. We're stuck in that circular pattern of we're not buying enough, we're not manufacturing enough to make it actually more cost effective. We need to sell bulk, we need to sell volume to get the pricing down. And I believe we can do it. If we could get even just 5% of the market, I think that we could get our price down to almost the same as a paper straw. It's a difficult position to be in at the moment. Of course, we're new and we're not selling millions and millions every week, and we don't have that turnover to actually reduce the costs. So it's not easy to build a business. It's very lonely a lot of the time. A lot of the no's break you down. I've had a couple of mental health issues in the last 6 months or so that have just broken me completely. I've had to step away from the business a couple of times and just relax and think about my own life and my own health for those reasons. And it's not easy. It's not an easy journey. But if you've got the passion and if you've got the belief that you can actually make a change, I think you should do it. It's something that people need to do more often. Yeah, to change a whole system of something just as simple as a straw could mean so much difference in 20 years' time. It's the passion that drives me to keep going. I've taken a lot of big risks. I've spent a lot of money in places that I shouldn't have. You really need to think through your actual process of how you're going to build the business and get it in front of the right people. That's really, really important, getting it in front of the right people. I've learned that putting it in front of the wrong people has cost me money, cost me time, and caused me a lot of heartbreak, because these people are the wrong people. And to actually go forward with these people is impossible. So Time management is massive, especially when you're a one-out solopreneur. It's very scary to think that how much you have to fit into 8 hours a day. Your social media can take over your life, basically. You're constantly on your telephone talking and doing social media and trying to stay ahead in that area, while the business can fail in the background because you're spending too much time on that. It's quite a difficult balancing act, but well worth it. You learn every day. You learn something new every day. So I mean, I've been learning about distributors and how distributors work, and it's amazing to learn something new every day, and you sort of, a little light bulb goes off it, and you say, okay, that's how that works. Now I understand how that works, and everything revolves around money at the end of the day. And it's a really difficult thing to get your head around, and it can really crush you. But you need to get your head around it and move forward.